Hi folks, now more than half of you have sent me work in by now, which is really good. Still 6 of you I haven't heard from, which is a bit unfortunate, but if you have done something, you haven't sent it in yet, please do. There's been some great stuff, and thanks to Faith for pointing out my big mistake on the pictograms. If any of the rest of you can find that mistake, I'll be impressed. Right, now today we're going to have a look at bar charts, which are a personal favourite. And there's one or two things. Bar charts are not quite as simple as they look really simple, but they you can tell an amazing amount of stuff out from it. So I'm going to have a little look at some of those today. Now, on the worksheets that are on there that you can download, there's one question 6, that I'm not going to go through today, and I would really like you, if you could, to see if you could have a go at question 6 and upload that and send it to me. Alright, great. If you can't and you just want to put in what we've done here, then okay, but question 6 is what I'd really like to be able to give you some feedback on and maybe lead into our next lesson a little bit. Well, not next lesson, because it'll be a while till you've sent it in and I've looked at it, but at some point next week. Okay. Okay, so here's our first bar chart, question number 1. And we've got 9 months of the year filled in for us, and we've got 3 months left to put on. Now you'll notice that there's gaps between all the bars, and you must have that on a bar chart. If you were in the exam and you didn't put gaps between, you would lose a mark for that. So October gets up to 16, so we need a gap to be the same size as the gaps were before. So roughly speaking, that must be about there, and all the bars should be the same width as well. So that's going up to 16, and then putting those in there. And the other 2 months should look, I'll have a go at it now and then I'll put them up in a moment. So here's my 3 bars all drawn to the correct height. Now if it was in an exam one, they would have squares along here, so you could make sure that the gaps were exactly the same and the bars were exactly the same width as well. Okay, next question. In which 2 months were the highest average temperatures recorded? Well, that looks like these two here in the middle of summer, July and August. And the last question, work out the range of average monthly temperatures. Well, the range means how much they vary. So you work out the range by doing the biggest number you have, take the smallest. So in July and August, they were the most, so that was 23 degrees, wasn't it? And then the coldest, well, both January and December were an average of 8. So if we take 8 away from 23, we get 15 degrees. Now you wouldn't get the mark if you wrote 23 or 8 to 23 or 23 minus 8. You've got to do that taking away. The range is actually that number, 15, how much they vary. Great. So on to question 2. Have a look at the beginning of that and see what you can make of that. This is what's called a composite bar graph, because you've got information for 2 different things, Paula and Rose. And one of them likes running a bit more than others on the whole, although it depends which day it is, doesn't it? Rose runs further than Paula on Monday. How much further? So Paula's done 3, Rose has done 6, so 6 take 3 is equal to 3. And I shouldn't just have 3, I need to have 3 miles, or you wouldn't get the mark. You've got to put your units in. Rose ran 6 miles on Thursday. Use this information to complete the bar chart. That's why Rose didn't look like she was doing as much. So taking my pencil and ruler and keeping the width the same just about as it was before, I'm just going to pop that in there, and then I need to use the key in the same way. So it's just this single hatching, as they'd call it in DT, I think, about like that. It doesn't have to be exact. Rose is not going to run on Saturday. How many miles would Paula have to run on Saturday so that the number of miles she runs from Monday to Saturday is the same as the number of miles Rose runs from Monday to Saturday? So what are we going to have to do there? We're going to have to add up how many Paula has done and how many Rose has done, and see, obviously Rose must have done more for this question to be like this. So if we do Rose first, Rose has got 6, 4, 6, 6 and 8, and Paula has got 3, which is 3 less, isn't it? So she's minus 3 after one day. She has plus 1 that day, doesn't she? She's got 1 more. 0 that day because they're both the same. Paula runs 1 more mile on that day. So at the moment she's only 1 mile behind Rose, but then on Friday Rose has gone 8 and Paula has just done 4, so that's minus 4. So minus 7 plus 2 is minus 5, so it's 5 miles. That's the way I'd do it. You might want to do some column addition and work out exactly how many Paula's done overall and how many Rose has done overall, and you should still get to the same answer in the end. Question 3. This is a bar chart showing the number of goals scored in a game by a football team in a season. So 7 times frequency is how many times something happens. 7 times they haven't scored any goals. 8 times they've scored 1, and so on. What is the modal number of goals scored? Now, modal is an adjective, and it's the adjective which means the same thing as the noun, which is mode. So the mode, you know what the mode means? The mode is the most frequent, or the one that happens the most often. So the most often is the biggest bar, isn't it? They've scored 2 goals 12 times. So the modal number of goals scored is 2, because that happens more often than anything else. Work out the total number of goals that were scored in total by the team. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? So how many goals have they scored here? Well, they've scored none 7 times. And if they do it 7 times, they've still only scored none, haven't they? Here, they've scored 1 8 times. And that's going to make 8 goals. The 12 times that they've scored 2, that's going to give them 12 twos, isn't it? Which is 24 goals altogether. 3 goals 3 times, so that'll be 3 times 3 is 9. And 4 goals 6 times, so that'll be 6 times 4 is 24 again. So we're going to need to add those numbers up. 8, 24, 9 and 24. I'm not going to bother writing down the 0. 12 plus 9 is 21, plus 4 is 25, 2, 4, 6. So that's 65 goals altogether. Right, question 4. Just pause this for a little bit and have a think about what might be going on. It says you've got to write down 3 things wrong with this graph, and it's to do with maths and English tests. So pause it for a moment and have a go. Right, so what can I see that isn't done there? It should say frequency on the side, so that should say frequency. The vertical axis needs needs a title, doesn't it? Or needs labeling. That's the word, labeling. But if you just said you should have the word frequency there, that would be okay. Oh, although actually it's not frequency, is it? Because It's the scores of 5 students, so it shouldn't say frequency at all. It should say score, shouldn't it? What else is wrong? Well, which one is the maths and which one is the English? How would we know? Do you remember if you look back to question 2, they had this here, and that's called a key. So it needs a key so we know which is maths, and I could say and which is English as well, but I've run out of space, so English isn't as important as maths, is it? So we don't need to write that down. Give a capital letter for maths. Right, on to the third thing that might be wrong. Well, what have we got? We've got equal sizes of our things. We've got equal gaps going on, so that's all right. What else could be wrong? This is a bit trickier to see. So let's have a little check here. 4, 8, 12, 16, 18. They've all gone up 4 at a time, haven't they? And this has only gone up 2. And then it goes up 4 again. So if I put the vertical axis is not a consistent scale. So the scale means having the same amount for each distance as we go along. Anything that means that, doesn't have to be the exact words that I've got, would be okay. Right, on to question 5. Have a little look here. It says complete the table to show the information. So pause the video, have a go, and then see if you've done the same as what I do. White, there's another white, black, white, red, black, I can do that one and that one, black, black. But it's very important you cross it out as you go, otherwise almost certainly you end up getting the wrong number of them. Blue, there, isn't it? Black, and another blue, white, and blue, white, fifth one going across there, isn't it? Blue, that's a fifth one for blue, another one for black, and a new set gets started for blue. So here we go, we've got 5, 6, 7, 5 plus 1 is 6, 2 reds, and 5 for white. Now what could I do to check that I've done that right? If I add these up, 7 plus 6 is 13, plus 2 is 15, plus 5 is 20. I'm really confident I'm right now, because in the question it says here's the list of the colours of the 20 cars that she's done. Right, so now we've got to draw a bar chart for this information. So up the side we're going to need frequency, so I'm going to write that word in straight away. I don't want to lose a mark for not writing frequency, and we need to go up to 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're only going to be used, we can't have 2 squares for each because there aren't enough squares there. You should always put 0, by the way, at the bottom. And then we're going to need to have equal space. So I'm just going to leave a whole gap because we've got plenty of room along here for my bar. Could I do 2 for each? White. Oh, it doesn't matter, does it? I'm just going to do 1. Let's keep it simple. White, red, blue, and black. And because we've only got one kind of bar going on for our thing, we don't need to have a key. That's just for the composite ones that we did. So there are 7 black ones, so that's to there. And I can probably get away with just doing this by shading it in, can't I? 6 blues, so that is 2 there. How many reds? 2 reds. And 5 white cars. I reckon this was done a while ago, because cars these days are nearly always silver, aren't they? I've got a silver one anyway. It doesn't show the dirt as much. Right, that's all I'm going to show for you today. I'd like you to have a crack at question 6 if you wouldn't mind, and then if you could upload that to me, that would be awesome. Well done everyone, keep going. We'll get through this thing and we'll be back in school before you know it.